Okay, picture this. You're a slightly stressed homeowner dealing with some weird plumbing behavior. And let's be honest, your mind is probably already jumping straight to the worst-case scenarios. You're out there picturing a massive backhoe tearing up your beautiful front lawn, along with the totally massive bill that comes with it. But hey, take a deep breath. Today in this explainer, we are breaking down exactly how to diagnose these scary plumbing problems without touching a single shovel.
Because it's literally the ultimate homeowner's dread, right? An invisible plumbing disaster happening right beneath your feet. Since the pipes are buried, it kind of feels like you're completely in the dark until a catastrophic failure happens. But I'm here to reassure you that we can absolutely figure this out. We don't need to guess, and we definitely don't need to panic. Instead, we're going to approach your plumbing just like a detective analyzing a crime scene.
So here's our game plan for today. We'll cover the invisible threat, spotting the warning signs, figuring out if it's a mainline or local clog, looking at no-dig diagnostic tools, and finally, your prep and what to avoid.
All right, let's jump right into part 1, the invisible plumbing threat beneath the surface. Now this right here is a completely fundamental mindset shift. You can't just walk outside, stare at your yard, and immediately know if a pipe is cracked. The earliest warning signs in most homes are purely behavioral. We really have to carefully observe how the plumbing behaves. We're looking for subtle changes in how water drains. We're tuning into unusual smells, or we're tracking new drainage problems that seem to kind of spread across different fixtures. It's all about how the house acts, rather than how it looks.
Moving on to step 2, spotting the warning signs and gathering clues.
Okay, let's dive into the actual checklist of sensory clues. You really want to track symptoms that suggest your wastewater just isn't moving normally. Watch out for repeated backups, especially when they happen in multiple drains simultaneously. I mean, if your sinks, your tubs, and your toilets are all draining sluggishly at the exact same time, that's a major clue. You should also be using your nose. Persistent sewage odors near drains, around the bathrooms, or even out by the property perimeter are huge red flags. And finally, you got to listen to your house. If you hear gurgling sounds in the toilet or the tub simply because another fixture is running elsewhere, well, that means air and water are actively fighting for space in a compromised line.
But you also need to look outside. And this is kind of wild. A surprisingly beautiful patch of grass? Yeah, that might actually be a massive red flag. If you see unusually lush, bright green patches near your suspected sewer line route, well, that's your wastewater acting as a sort of forbidden underground fertilizer. It is a highly deceptive sign of a cracked pipe leaking nutrients right into your yard. Which brings us to part 3, mainline or local clog. Let's use some deductive reasoning.
Before you panic and conclude the entire sewer line is destroyed, compare your symptoms. If only one fixture is struggling, say just the guest bathroom sink, while everything else in the house drains perfectly, it's almost certainly a localized problem. You're likely just dealing with a clogged trap or maybe a branch line blockage. But contrast that with a mainline problem. If your toilets are backing up, while your sinks and your showers are also draining slowly, that strongly suggests a shared, house-wide systemic failure.
You also really need to document when these symptoms are happening, because timing is an absolutely critical clue. Does the issue change depending on water usage? Often a sewer line failure becomes glaringly apparent during high-flow periods. Think about when you're running a heavy laundry cycle, or when multiple people are taking showers back-to-back. Documenting exactly when the plumbing acts up helps the professional technicians immensely when they come out to interpret the problem.
All right, part 4, no-dig diagnostic tools, basically the plumbing X-ray.
So, what's the fastest path to absolute clarity here? For sure, it's a professional camera inspection. Think of it as a completely non-invasive X-ray for your home. Technicians will insert a flexible, remote snake camera from an accessible cleanout. This thing travels down the line and provides direct, incredibly clear visual evidence of exactly what is going on down there. It can reveal cracks, breaks, tree root intrusions, heavy corrosion, collapsed sections, and even misaligned joints. The best part? No digging required to see the whole picture.
Now, sometimes the pros will use what's called hydrojetting. This is high-pressure line clearing, and they combine it with careful observation. They'll try to blast away those localized blockages. But here is the clever diagnostics trick. If the blockage clears temporarily, but your drainage symptoms return very quickly afterward, that's a huge indicator. It tells the professionals that you aren't just dealing with a stubborn one-time clog, but rather an underlying structural failure in the pipe that's going to keep causing the system to back up.
And in some specific scenarios, technicians might also pull out a couple of other really fascinating non-invasive tools. They might use tracer dye or even non-toxic smoke testing. These methods are super excellent for distinguishing whether the leaks or odors are actually coming from your wastewater lines or if they're originating from completely different plumbing connections. It's really all about narrowing down the source of the problem with absolute precision.
Which leads us to our final section, Part 5, Preparation and what to avoid, your next steps.
Look, while you obviously can't confirm a structural break just by looking around, you can make the eventual professional inspection highly efficient. So start an empowering prep list right now. Actively note the exact locations of those recurring backups, track precisely where you smell odors or see wet areas appear outside, take a quick walk around your home, and ensure that your known plumbing cleanouts aren't obstructed by boxes or overgrown bushes. And most importantly, if sewage is actively backing up or the odor is incredibly strong, be smart. Limit your water use immediately and prioritize getting a professional assessment.
Now listen up, because this is a really stark warning against aggressive DIY chemical treatments. If you suspect a serious sewer issue, please do not go to the hardware store and buy heavy-duty drain cleaners hoping to magically dissolve the problem. Not only are these entirely ineffective against structural cracks, but they can actually worsen the damage and create highly hazardous fumes right inside your home. It is literally just not worth the risk.
So, let's summarize the absolute core takeaway of this whole explainer. When you face recurring, multi-fixture drainage problems combined with sewage odors or outside wet patches, treat it simply as a strong signal to investigate the main line. It is not a reason to panic, and it is certainly not a reason to start digging blindly in the yard. Just gather your clues, document the behavior, and call for a non-invasive camera inspection.
I want to leave you with this final thought today. If your house could talk to you through its drains, its smells, and its lawn, what is it trying to tell you right now? Take those new detective skills, go observe your own plumbing, and really listen to the clues. Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer, and happy sleuthing.